Government renders full account of how much is accrued from the price stabilization levy. Meanwhile, passengers lament hikes in transport fares as private commercial transport operators announce a 30% increase beginning tomorrow.
We just have no choice. If nothing is being done on it, then we have to come up with cost adjustments so that we can survive in our industry.
Coming up in the Joy Living Standard series today.
My daily job money is not fixed, like as you said. Today, you've no work.
Hello again, my name is Ernest Minu. Thanks for choosing us. We are your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism.
We are starving. It's painful when you are working and you are not being paid.
Even coming to demonstrate, I need to borrow money.
Sounds of angry beneficiaries of the Nation Builders Corps NABCO who today hit the street in demand of the immediate release of the allowances, some of which have been in arrears for almost a year. Government in 2018 launched the NABCO program to provide temporary jobs for some 100,000 unemployed graduates. Though the program was discharged in November 2021, an extension of the service period of the trainees has not been followed with the necessary financial commitment. We'll hear from the coalition chairman shortly, but first my colleague Manuel Cranton was with the protesters and joins me on the line with details. Manuel, so beyond the demand for the release of the allowances, we understand you're making some other demands as well.
Yes, so NSM, they are asking that they be provided permanent employment. According to them, in the 2022 budget, provision was made for some permanent employment for them. And so beyond the allowances, which are in arrears up to about 11 months, they want government to provide permanent support within the 7 modules that they were posted to in 2018.
Even when we go to work, we don't even have money. Our in charges, at times be like this, I call my in charge to give me tea and tea before I go to work because the department, I'm in Hill Ghana, I'm a health professional, I have my PIN, this is my PIN, but they refuse to pay me. They said we don't have PIN, so 11 months now, from March 2021 that I received my money, I have not received my money again. This is my PIN. It's NABCO that employed us, not Ghana Health Service. So it's the NABCO people who has to pay us. They said Ghana Health Service and we the nurses, we don't have PIN. This is my evidence of my PIN. This is my PIN.
I've been with Revenue Ghana. For the past 6 months, I have not been paid. So I'm looking forward for the government to see to it that I will be paid by the end of this week. Even coming to demonstrate, I need to borrow money. To come and demonstrate. How? Government has to do something to ensure that we are paid.
But how old are you?
It's not like, it's very bad. It's very bad because when you go to the market, they insult the rain on you because how can a graduate be working as a market a toll collector? Then normally they will tell you that this work is for non-graduates. But there's no job, and that is where the government has posted me to have to work. But still, the government is not acknowledging our effort. The government promised us in 2022 general elections that he was going to give us permanent employment. So we are here for the permanent employment.
So those are some beneficiaries of the Nation Builders Corps who've been speaking to you, Manuel. But Manuel, you spoke to the patron of the coalition of NABCO trainees. What has he been telling you?
Well, he's essentially been asking the government communicators to stop, as it were, bundling them together as incompetent graduates who are not fit to be given permanent employment. He says that they deserve to be given permanent employment, and that is the only thing that will get them satisfied.
The promise must be fulfilled. The career pathway must be fulfilled. You promised 3 solid options. You promised to integrate trainees into the permanent mainstream work. You promised to build some of them their personal capacity. You promised to resource them so that those who are interested in entrepreneurship, they can venture in their private endeavors. Those who are interested in further studies, you promised to cushion them. Mr. President, kindly honor your promise. We don't want to be seen so disappointed in you. We don't want to be seen so disappointed in MPP cabinet.
That is Nana Berma, the patron of the coalition of NABCO trainees. Finally, Manuel, did they present a petition and who received it?
Yes, we presented a petition to the Secretariat of the Nation Builders Corps. A representative from the Secretariat, Alhaji Barrison, received the petition and assured them of the utmost attention of the CEO, Dr. Ibrahim Manyas, and says that they will care from them as a secretariat.
My colleague Manuel Cranton there. Unbearable and insensitive. That's how some Ghanaians have described the incessant hikes in fuel prices. The latest hike has brought the product to nearly 8 Ghana cedis. Total Oil, for instance, is all its products currently selling at 7 cedis 99 pesos. Gall and Shell are yet to adjust their prices, but cumulatively this will mean more than 1 cedi increment in the price of fuel this year alone. Consumers say government must intervene immediately in order to alleviate their plight.
It's going to affect me because, you see, day in and out, the increased fuel, I don't know what is happening in this our Ghana. Day in and out, the increased fuel, I don't know. So it definitely, it's like, it affects me a lot. Okay, so in terms of transportation problem and all that. Today, this morning that I had a free car, so I didn't feel it too much for today. But when I'm going back, BAMS I have to take car, and these things are increased. He has to immediately, because it's too much. It's too much. So that is it. Yeah. All right.
Because the passengers will talk. If you charge them, they will talk. Because the fuel prices is too going far this time around. Every week they are increasing the fuel prices. So we can't get money to save and to do some things. So it affects us other ways, reduce the fuel price for us.
Those are sounds of consumers here in Accra. In the northern regional capital, Tamale, motorbike and tricycle operators say the hikes is killing their business.
It's been a difficult one for most of us motorbike riders. You look at the pumps, when you go to buy, for me, I've been using like 20 cedis worth of fuel, at least for a week. But this is, it hardly takes you beyond 3 days, which is a worry. And I think the last time I bought, I didn't see my gauge coming up, which is quite a problem. And for me, it's very difficult going forward with this particular incessant increases in the prices of the fuel.
The consistent increment of the fuel, especially from last year, December till now, has a lot of effects on our lives. Even those who do not even use motorbikes or cars are suffering because of the increment, because it has a ripple effect on everything.
Now in Kumasi, consumers and business owners especially say planning has been made even difficult.
Say Jumanda sell crowd because uko to fuel 31 cedi. Now the load I say uko one load call ebia from Tech to Ebuaka. We told diesel almost 60 cedi. And sana uko ba kwaba. Fair no so nipa obefroka na uka this year. No ko.
We always fight with the passengers over fares.
Ebi obekati ebi oye masem we chane say adwuma na wonye usune bia na ntisa adwuma
fuel prices say I know the papa if say e say na Ghana economy yenim da fuel prices be ba form generally omutum for February so almost atum ba kon.
Our colleague transport operators in Accra have increased their fares, but Kumasi drivers have refused to speak up. I'm sure it is because this place is an NPP stronghold.
Ghana government,
And those are consumers in Kumasi complaining about the hikes in fuel prices. The minority in parliament want government to move to cushion Ghanaians with a windfall from the sale of crude oil. Meanwhile, it wants full details of how much is accrued into the Price Stabilization Fund. Edward Bauer is a member of the Mines and Energy Committee.
Government must first and foremost account for how much we have been accruing all this year, this period, from 2017 to now. Tell us how much we have accrued, because it's an insurance that we have been paying 16 pesos per petrol, and then diesel and LPG is 14. So how much have we accrued that you think that just after 2 months you think that you have run short of the funds. Funds that are meant, tax handles on the petroleum buildup, that are meant for certain services, are used otherwise. And it's a problem that we need to look at. Basis for which the special petroleum tax was introduced into the price buildup, those reasons are not tenable today. Now we are hovering around, look, our benchmark revenue that we put in the budget was $62 per barrel. Now we are doing around 90, so already there's a windfall in that. 2, we are not producing like 70 barrels per day. We are producing almost 200,000 barrels per day. So if you have these two factors, it doesn't make sense to still keep this SPT in this price buildup.
Edward Barr spoke on the AM show, but the executive director of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amwa, has warned government will be hurt in the long run if it fails to address the situation.
But the one to be hardest hit by eventually, it will be the government itself. Perhaps it takes time for them to realize this. But if you want the single largest consumer within the economy, right, it is the government itself. To operate Office of Government machinery, to operate the very large ministry that we have, the department agencies, to operate the judiciary, as well as the legislature and all other places that will probably need to support with fuel for their functioning or functionality.
Duncan Amwa is Executive Director of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. In a related development, the private commercial transport operators have announced a 30% increase in transport fares beginning tomorrow, February 18. In a statement, the association says this has become necessary to save the transport business from collapsing. But GPRTU says it will announce its new fares on the 26th of this month. Here's Abbas Imoro, who spoke on the Joy News channel.
It is known to everybody. Last week we were at the negotiating table, of which we opted for 30% increment, and finally we were down to 20. Government was stick to 10%, of which we asked for postponement. Fortunately for us, there has been another upward prices at the pumps. So next week we are going back. It's just too much for us. We can't no longer bear the situation in which we are.
But is the 30% increase justified? Some of you have been reacting.
I don't support it. Because at first, if we were paying 1 cedi, we will pay 1 cedi 30 pesos. And that will affect us. It will affect us so much. So cost of goods, items will also increase. And it will affect everybody. So I don't support it.
When they do the increment by 30%, it's going to affect us a lot, because when they increase fare in Ghana here, it affects a lot of things. Food, everything in Ghana here. So the leaders should look at it so that the fuel price will rather come down. That rather will help us.
Okay, so definitely it's going to affect us, because technically this year, most of us, our salaries were increased. So we are operating with the same budget. So 30%, it's on a higher side, and definitely is going to affect us. So we will plead with the government, if the other taxes on it, which can be taken out for us to be cushioned a little bit, could be done. It could help us a lot. That's what we are pleading with the government to do.
Now let's turn our attention to the Joy Living Standard series. In these times of rising food prices and stagnant daily wages, a mechanic assistant, Jephthah, has found a way of balancing his domestic budget. He eats one heavy meal, usually late lunch, so he can save some money for rainy days. His daily wage is only 20 Ghana cedis. Mamiesi Thompson has more for today's episode of the Living Standard series.
Daniel Kwaman is 16 years old. When he completed junior high school, he was having a hard time staying in the coastal town of Salt Pond in the central region. He wants to be successful so that he supports his family financially. So, he relocated to Accra to learn to be a mechanic.
Life in Accra and then Salt Pond. Accra is expensive than Salt Pond.
So if you get 10 cedis, you eat morning to the evening. But Accra, if you get 10 cedis, you eat in the morning.
He expected an easy life in Accra, but has been facing a rude economic shock for the past 4 months.
10 cedis in the source for you can buy salads, food, kenke, rice, gari, and then other things. But so Accra, you use 10 cedis to buy what is finished.
His senior colleague, Jephthah, is experiencing similar struggles. Even though he has been in Accra much longer, it is still difficult to afford food these days. To save some money from his daily wage of 20 cedis, he eats just one heavy meal a day.
My daily chop money is not fixed, like as you said. So it depends on what you get per day. So let's say today if you've no work, so I don't think today I'll get more than 20 cedis. That's how I live. Yeah. I save, but that also depends. Unless maybe the day I get around, let's say 50 cedis or 30 cedis. Yeah, for that one I can save like 10 cedis or 5 cedis. But if it's less than 30 cedis, saving will be very difficult for me.
Indeed, Accra stay by plan. For Living Standard Series, Mami Esi Thompson.
And the story is also live on TV and all our social media platforms. From a mechanic assistant, Jephthah, who has found a way of balancing his domestic budgets. Let's hear the story of a young woman who has been forced to take up a job as a trotro mate to pay for her university fees. She's been speaking to Joy Business's James Eshan.
I called him, I'm like, I want to do a mate job. He said, no, you can't do it. I'm like, look, I can do it. He said it's difficult, so he would rather prefer a meal. And I told him, look, give me 3 days. If I don't perform, just let me go, sack me. So at times I go to lectures on weekends, at times too I don't go.
Doesn't that affect you?
If I don't go a day, it affects my finances. So if I don't work a day, so I mix it. If I go this week, probably next week I'll go to lectures. Yeah, at least I try to read myself too. So as far as I don't go to anybody, give me food, give me this, I can do something to feed myself, to cater for myself. Everybody should back up. Let me just do it.
And that's reports filed by Joy Business's James Eshan. Let's go to Parliament now, because the Constitution, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee has resumed public hearings on the Promotion of Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill 2021. 9 groups, including the sponsors of the bill and organizations, are expected to make presentations to the committee on whether they are for or against the bill. The hearing is underway, and parliamentary correspondent Kwesi Parker-Wilson will bring us more subsequently, but we can hear from some of the views being expressed at the hearing.
You must also ensure that surgeries conducted on infant-born intersex are stopped. We are saying this because if Akwele and Akoko has received a surgery when they were young, they would have now be having only a female genitalia and everything else is in it. And it will now be difficult to reverse because they are not reversible. Intersex surgeries are seen as cosmetic rather than medicinal. And recent data supports this finding. As recently at the UN level, 53 states came to support this claim that intersex surgeries conducted on intersex children should be delayed as long as possible for the child to pass through puberty and the rest, for them to know where exactly that person belongs. And if that person is comfortable at that level of being treated or can live with it, I have lived with it with a successful life, that person can be left alone.
And that's a member of the intersex community asking Parliament to strike them out of the bill because they do not qualify. You're listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. When we return from this break, we'll bring you sports, and later in the bulletin.
Ghana is expensive. You know, interest rates are high in the banks. So, I mean, but there's progress.
Is it easy to live in Ghana? We'll hear the views of Ghanaian American comedian Michael Blankson.
This bulletin is live in the Volta region on Jubilee Radio Keta, Volta Premier and Kekali Radio in Ho, Lolonyo FM in Hohoi, Pando FM in Pando, Fafa Radio in Joje, Radio Hogba in Angloga, Klenam Radio Bato, Victory FM Aflao. In the eastern region, we're on K Poly Radio in Kofrodia. In the northern region, we're on Bishara Radio, Radio 123 and Radio Justice in Tamale. And in Savannah region, we're on Inkelege FM in Bole. In the upper east region, we're live on A1 Radio and Dreams FM in Bogatanga and Radio Fumbese in Fumbese. In Upper West, we're live on Radio Sonmale in Wa, Radio Freed in Nandom, Radio Wa in Wa, and Bolu FM in Bolu. In the Bono East region, we're on Gaskia FM in Techiman. In Bono region, we're on Sky FM and Parrot FM in Sunyai. Central region, we're live on ATL FM in Cape Coast. And in the Western region, we're on Radio Max in Takrady.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. Time now for sport, and Muftau is here. What's the latest?
We are not here to blame members of the Ghana Football Association for the failure of the Black Stars to win the African Cup of Nations. This is according to ranking member on Parliamentary Select Committee on Sports, Kobna Mensah Woyome. He says that their purpose is to support the development of football in the country.
Parliament as an institution has an oversight responsibility, and we are just doing that. We are not carrying this out also with special budgetary allocation where we will be taking so much from the taxpayers' money for special purpose such as this. It is a day-to-day work of Parliament, and we are just doing what we are asked or mandated to do. And so we think the talks out there is not to go play other propaganda so that we lose the particular focus for which we are here.
That is Kobna Mensah Woyome, ranking member on the Parliamentary Select Committee on Sports.
Muftau, thank you very much. Now, the Ghana Airports Company says its former managing director, Yao Kwakwa, tendered in his resignation. This is contrary to an earlier letter that went viral on social media. In that letter, President Akufo-Addo had asked the Transport Minister to take steps to terminate the appointment of Mr. Kwakwa. A statement issued by the company announces that the public relations practitioner, Pamela Jamson Tete, is to replace Mr. Kwakwa. Joy News' Joseph Akable joins me in the studio with more on this statement. What does it say?
It reads that following an emergency meeting of the GACL board held on Wednesday, February 16, 2022, Mr. Yao Kwakwa submitted his resignation as managing director of the Ghana Airports Company, effective close of day, February 17, 2022. The GACL board has subsequently appointed Madam Pamela Jamson Tete as the new managing director of the Ghana Airports Company, effective February 18, 2022. It goes on to talk about her profile, 25 years of proven track record in senior management, including 9 years in the mining sector and the manufacturing sector as well.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Now, some residents of Choco here in Accra have vowed to take on anyone who dumps garbage in their drains. On Wednesday, they were forced by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly Sanitation Task Force to desil choke drains in front of their homes and shops. Hannah Odame was with the Clean Ghana campaign team and now reports.
Today we are almost...
Apologies there. We'll bring you that report by Hannah Odame, who was with the Clean Ghana campaign team led by the Sanitation Task Force of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. We'll do that in our subsequent bulletins. But let's return to Parliament, because the MP for Busa North, James Ogaga, says he will soon file a private member's bill to repeal laws that criminalize publication of false news. This follows the recent wave of arrest and prosecution of journalists and politicians for purportedly making untrue statements that has the likelihood of causing fear and panic. Mr. Ogaga spoke on upfront on the Journey's channel.
I could propose that Section 208 in its entirety be taken out of the Criminal and Other Offences Act. But other members and Professor Asari made the argument that, look, we should try and do some... Yes, public order, yes, we must protect and safeguard. But false news, the publication of same, which does not cause any harm to the public and law and order, we shouldn't necessarily criminalize those ones.
That's MP for Busa North, James Ogaga. So later today on our social media politically incorrect show, State of Play, Evans Mensah, Raymond Akwa will serve us with their final verdict on the much talked about issue of freedom of speech and responsibility with regards to some of the recent cases that have been reported. Here's what to expect.
So this Thursday on State of Play, you have observed it already. There's a lot happening when it comes to freedom of speech and the question of responsibility. So how many people have been arrested so far? There is Abronye on the MPP side.
Yes.
Then there is your friend Oliver.
Yes.
And then there is Bobier.
Yeah.
And then there is Mensah Thompson.
Yeah.
And there's one more other journalist.
The one who was jailed, the 14-day one.
14-day one for contempt.
He was also
right?
in Power FM.
Yes. So five various incidents, all bordering on the line between freedom of speech and responsibility.
So this Thursday, we'll actually be asking that big question: where do we draw the line?
Where do the line?
Is the line that thin?
Yeah.
What's the cost of having your freedom of speech protected, and which responsibility?
But interesting, we also need to ask the question. They say, talk is cheap. But as you know, talk is cheap, but jail is not. We'll be talking about that.
So the State of Play is on our social media handles, Joy FM, Joy News Channel at 2:30 p.m. You want to join us with your views and comments. Now it's time for showbiz, but we're still talking about living conditions here in Ghana because Ghanaian-American comedian Michael Blackson recently acquired a home here in Ghana and built another for his mother. He says it's expensive to live in Ghana.
Ghana is expensive. It ain't, I recently, like I said, I built a house in a village for my mother. Okay. So, but now my mother wants to move closer. Okay. She wants to be closer here. Yeah. So I was looking for houses for her. And, they were pretty pricey. They weren't that, they're pretty pricey. Yeah. But don't get it wrong, you could, I'm sure you could find, because when I was looking at the style of home that I wanted was all $200,000 equivalent.
Not even cities, dollars.
No, this is dollars. I'm like, goodness, how can these people afford this? Making the salary that they're making. So
that's Ghanaian-American comedian Michael Blackson speaking about the standard of living here in Ghana. Let's find out what's trending on social media. Joseph Akable joins me. We understand that our question on the Living Standard series is trending.
Yes, it was a question on what you can do in a day with 20 Ghana cedis in Ghana. And Utibu_Dako says, in the morning, Hausa Cocoa 1 cedi, tea bread 2 cedis. I don't know why he's buying tea bread and the cocoa in addition to that one. Then we also have afternoon. He says you go for 4 cedis of meat and 3 cedis of banku. Then you buy water 50 pesos, and so you still have a little over 10 cedis left. Another one here by Priscilla says this one will be difficult unless you find something else to invest that amount of money.
And you, Joseph, what can you do with 20 cedis in a day?
I'll just buy fruits, 5 cedis, 5 cedis, 5 cedis, 4 times a day.
Okay. Well, my Uber this morning cost me 23 cedis, so I have nothing left.
-3.
-3. Thank you very much, Joseph. That's what's trending on social media. That's it for the bulletin this afternoon. You find more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Ernest Mino. Up next is Dr. Mensah Otabil with Living Word.
Business a bit to say. So the projections from the first quarter show a higher total gross profit for the fiscal year. A bit